Hey there and welcome back to Geek Cheese. My name's Kelly and I'm back with another Create a Sim in Sims 4. Today I'm making another actress. I'm making Lauren Bacall. I have a picture of her here because I figured not many people probably know who she is. She's not as popular as, Marilyn Monroe or Audrey Hepburn. So I included a picture of her. She's actually one of my favorite actresses, if not my favorite. She was She was known for marrying Humphrey Bogart, who was one of my favorite actors of that time period. They're a well-known couple and very famous couple, known as Bogey and Bacall. And Humphrey Bogart, of course, was in Casablanca and a lot of other great movies. But so she was known, but she had a lot of great movies. She played in a lot of movies with Humphrey Bogart as well. Um, So yeah, I'm making her, and I think this one turned out really good. I'm doing another voiceover. um, Unfortunately, I went camping this weekend, which was fun, but it didn't allow me time to upload a video on Monday, so this is gonna have to go up on Tuesday. Um, so yeah, but if you have any suggestions on who I should do next, let me know in the comments. Like I said, I'm only doing like classic Hollywood actresses and possibly actors if you want to see that. So let me know if you have anyone that you want me to do. Um, so like my last videos, I think I'm gonna actually like maybe talk about her a little bit, find some little factoids. I actually read her biography called I think it's called By Myself and Then Some. Um, it's Lauren Bacall's biography autobiography, and it's really good. It was really, really interesting. Actually, no, I mean, I know a lot about her from reading that book and just from being really interested in her life for a long time. Um, but she's from New York. She was born in New York. Um, I believe her mother was Jewish, and her name was actually Betty, but I think she changed it in order to act. Um, so, uh, what else was I gonna say? I forget. But yeah, she was from New York, and I think her father left when she was little, so it was really just her and her mom, and like, there was a lot of females in her life, um, and her grandmother, and things like that. And she was really close with her mom for most of her life. And the book was really interesting because it talked about her love of theater. Um, this hair, by the way, I know it kind of looks gray, but when I saw colored pictures of Lauren Bacall, this hair actually looked a lot like the color it was. So I thought this like was the closest thing to what her hair looked like. Um, so anyway, um, but she started making films when she was really pretty young. She was only like 18 or 19, and she met Humphrey Bogart when she was like 18 or 19, and they started dating, and he was in his 40s, I believe. He was a lot older than her, and they were in a lot of good movies. They were in To Have and Have Not, which is a great movie. They were in Key Largo, which was a good movie. The Big Sleep. Um, she was in Dark Passage, which I love that movie. I've seen a lot of her movies, because I am such a fan, and I'm a huge fan of Bogart as well, and my dad's a huge fan of Humphrey Bogart. Um, she was also in, I think it was How to Marry a Millionaire, which was a really good one. I think Marilyn Monroe's in that one actually. Um, Designing Women. Um, yeah, so she was in a lot of great movies. Um, and her book is really interesting because um, it kind of shows her humor. She had kind of a sarcastic, cynical kind of, I don't know about cynical, but very sarcastic kind of witty sense of humor. And I kind of liked her so much because she's kind of different than the other actresses. I mean, she was really young when she started, so I mean, it's hard to tell that she was so different, but if you start reading about her outside of movies and outside of acting, she was very open-minded, she's like kind of her own person, she kind of did what she wanted to do. Um, she wore pants and things like that, and very Katharine Hepburn-like. If anyone knows who Katharine Hepburn is, she's also one of my absolute favorite actresses. Um, and actually, Humphrey Bogart worked with Katharine Hepburn on The African Queen, so Lauren Bacall actually met Katharine Hepburn, and they were kind of friends. Although Katharine Hepburn, I think, was kind of a private person, but they were friends with them, and it's also the book is really interesting because it brings up um, their little clique that they had. Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall, once they were married, they kind of had like a little clique of like people that they kind of, I don't know if you would say partied with, but they would get together and have games or drink or whatever. Um, and I forget who everyone was, but they were, famous people. Sinatra. Um, she was really close friends with Frank Sinatra. Um, but I forget who everyone was that they hung out with, but they hung out with a lot of writers, authors of the time period. I'm not sure if Hemingway was one of them, but I think it might have been. Um, but they had kind of like a little clique, and it's kind of interesting. Um, she's also kind of fiery, judging by the book that I read. Um, Maybe a little hot-headed. So she was interesting, and she was known for her voice because it was kind of very husky. Um, and I guess she had a thick New York accent, but um, I don't know. I don't remember hearing that in the movies. Um, but okay, so let's find out some trivia on IMDb because I love reading this stuff. She was chosen by Empire magazine as one of the 100 sexiest stars in film history. Ranked number 20 in the AFI's top 25 actress legends. Ranked number 11 in Empire magazine's top 100 movie stars of all time. She had 3 children. Chosen by People magazine as one of the 50 most beautiful people in the world. Bacall lived in the same New York apartment building, the Dakota, as Beatle John Lennon when he was shot and later died on December 8, 1980. When interviewed on this subject in a recent British television program hosted by former model Twiggy, Bacall said she had heard the gunshot but assumed that it was a car tire bursting or a vehicle backfiring. That's really interesting. I didn't know that. I don't remember reading that in the book. Was crowned Miss Greenwich Village in 1942. Used her mother's maiden name Bacall but added an extra L when she entered the cinema. Shortly after Humphrey Bogart's death, she announced her engagement to Frank Sinatra to the press. Sinatra promptly backed out. Yeah, that was something in the book that she talked about. Um, it's kind of interesting. They were really close, and um, I don't know if there was anything more to it, but um, he kind of ran off to Las Vegas or something like that, or one of his places that he had homes, and just kind of backed out of it. Her screen persona was totally based and modeled after Howard Hawks' wife, Slim. She even uses her name in To Have and Have Not. I think she talked about that too in the book. She and former Israeli Prime Minister and President Shimon Peres were relatives. Both had the same original last name, Perskay, However, the two were not first cousins, as has been commonly reported in a 2014 interview shortly after Bacall's death. Perez stated that he was unsure of their exact connection. Those close to her called her by her real first name, Betty. That I knew. That's also in the book. Um, Still undiscovered, Bacall volunteered as a hostess at the New York chapter of the Stage Door Canteen, working Monday nights when theaters were closed. Having lost her job as a showroom model and quit acting school for lack of funds, the teenage Bacall found work as a Broadway theater usher. George Jean Nathan voted her the prettiest usher of the 1942 season in the pages of Esquire. She was the only child of William Perskay and Natalie Weinstein Bacall. Is one of the initial Rat Pack. That's what I was talking about, their little clique. That's what they call themselves. With Humphrey Bogart, Frank Sinatra, Irving Paul Lazar, and their close friends. I'm not sure who Irving Paul Lazar is. I think he may be a musician or something. I'm not sure. Won a Tony Award for her role as Margot Channing in the Broadway production of Applause, a musical based on the movie All About Eve. She really loved theater acting, and that was her love, really. And she got back into it after she stopped doing movies. With late husband Humphrey Bogart, had a kind of vocal disorder named after her. Bogart-Bacall syndrome is a form of muscle tension dysphonia most common in professional voice users who habitually use a very low speaking pitch. BBS is more common among women than men and has been blamed on social pressure on professional women to compete with men in the business arena. Interesting. I think that's like, that kind of reminds me of like women who are in the news. They kind of talk very like robotic almost and low and kind of like low pitched. I don't know if that's a. I know people say that I talk very low, but I don't. I've kind of always been that way. But that kind of reminds me of like women who are in the news. Her autobiography, By Myself, won a National Book Award in 1980. Actress Kathleen Turner had often been compared to Bacall. Was good friends with Angela Lansbury, Bea Arthur, Julie London, Eve Arden, Virginia Mayo, John Wayne, Humphrey Bogart, Charles Boyer, I think that, Dorothy Malone, Mickey Rooney, Gregory Peck, Dirk Bogarty, Marilyn Monroe, Maureen O'Hara, Joan Rivers, Kirk Douglas, Edward Platt, Robert Stack, Bob Hope, Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Elizabeth Taylor, James Garner, Maggie Smith, Carol Burnett. She had lots of friends. Spencer Tracy was another one that she's. Yeah, they have lots of friends. She talks a lot about it in the book. She's mentioned in the song Vogue. She was the only surviving legend mentioned in the popular phrase from Madonna's 1990 number one song hit, Vogue. Her appearance on the cover of Harper's Bazaar magazine at 18 years of age led to her first film role. She was spotted by the wife of director Howard Hawks, who gave her a screen test and cast her into Have and Have Not. A well-respected actress for the past 60 years, she was only nominated once for an Academy Award. daughter Leslie Bogart was born on August 23rd. She was named after Leslie Howard, who helped Humphrey Bogart get his breakthrough role in the play The Petrified Forest. Leslie Howard, I believe, I think he was in Gone with the Wind. I believe he was actually in Gone with the Wind. And I think she had a huge crush on him. Uh, she was 17 when she met and became close friends with Gregory Peck. She was an usherette at the time. They remained close until his death. She was dismissed by Howard Hawks because she had a high nasal voice, but she spent 2 weeks developing her voice, and when she came back to visit Hawks 2 weeks later, she had a deep husky voice. According to autobiography, she was always very self-conscious, conscious, I can never say that word, about the size of her feet, which she describes as big even for a woman of her exceptional height. When Howard Hawks discovered her, he gave her the choice to work with either Cary Grant or Humphrey Bogart. Bacall was very tempted to work with Grant, but Hawks ended up casting with Bogart into Have and Have Not, and one of the Hollywood's greatest romances started. That's really interesting. I think she talked about that too. At the funeral for her husband, Humphrey Bogart, she put a whistle in his coffin. It was reference to the famous line she says to him in the first film together, To Have and Have Not. You know how to whistle, don't you? Just put your lips together and blow. That's cute. She's good friends with Maureen O'Hara. She had tons of friends. It's pretty amazing how well liked she was by people. She talks about all of her friends in the book. Along with Veronica Lake, Julie London, and Rita Hayworth, she was one of the 4 inspirations that helped compose the character Jessica Rabbit. She originally wanted and intended to be a dancer, having attended ballet classes since infancy, but in adolescence was drawn to acting. Lauren Bacall passed away on August 12th, a day after my birthday, at age 89. She died in 2014. A month before her death, her lifelong best friend James Gardner passed away. Inspired by seeing Bette Davis in film, she enrolled at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, where she went out with Kirk Douglas, who was there on a scholarship. She was forced, as girls were not accepted for scholarship, she was forced to leave after a year and got a job modeling swimwear with thin gowns, while in the evening she worked as an usherette. She quit smoking cigarettes in the mid-1980s, was physically healthy and physically active until her death at age 89. Seven photographs were taken of Lauren Bacall sitting on top of a piano with Vice President Harry Truman. Truman's wife was so angry with the photos that she told him, "You will play the piano in public no more." Yeah, so I highly suggest checking out some of her movies, and Humphrey Bogart movies. They're really good. There's just something about her that I just was really drawn to. Actually, I like reading biographies of different people, but hers was the first one that I actually read, and it was really good. I highly recommend reading it. And yeah, so I chose some different traits for her. I picked ambitious, I think. Just some things that I felt like go along with her, and I chose like a husky voice, but you can't hear because I muted the video. But yeah, so I hope you guys really liked this video. And if, like I said, if you have any suggestions for any others, let me know in the comments below. I can also do male actors, um, so let me know, and like this video if you enjoy watching, subscribe, and I'll be doing more in the future, and hopefully I'm going to be uploading some more videos this week. And yeah, so that's it. Thanks for watching.